In the winter of 2014, a Werner truck, a team truck, was westbound on I-20. They were under a just-in-time load. It was a driver training truck. The trainee was at the wheel, Shiraz Ali. He was driving. The driver trainer was in the bunk. He was going west. He was traveling below the speed limit because the weather was starting to deteriorate. On the eastbound lanes was a fellow named Salinas, driving his pickup truck. He had the Blake family in the pickup truck with him. They were friends. He was giving them a ride. Salinas started to lose control. The lanes were icing up in the eastbound side. Salinas started to lose control. He spun. The truck spun down through the median strip, popped up on the westbound side right in front of the Werner truck. And of course, the Werner truck hit him. This video is sponsored by Lanefinder. The collision between Salinas's pickup truck and the Werner truck was awful. There were 3 children in the pickup truck. One of them died. A second one became a cripple for life. It was horrendous, a terrible accident. The state troopers attended. They looked at the accident scene and determined it was just purely an accident. Shiraz Ali had done everything right. He had done everything a professional driver was expected to do. The pickup truck appeared right in front of him. There was nothing he could do. He managed to keep the vehicle straight, the truck and trailer straight, and stopped quickly. Despite the weather conditions, he did everything right. Because Shiraz Ali had done everything right, the police did not charge the Werner driver, and they just let it go at that. But the Blake family now needed money because they had a funeral to expense and pay for, and they had one crippled child that was going to need lifelong care. And they needed the money. So what did they do? They sued everybody in sight. They sued the family friend that was driving them, Salinas. They sued Werner Enterprises, and they even sued the Werner trainee driver, Ali, because they needed the money, so they just sued everybody. And the law firm they hired recommended this course of action to them. The first case came to trial in 2018, 4 years later, and Werner lost the case, and they appealed. And now just recently, to a higher court, Werner has lost again and is now appealing, and that's why we're talking about this case, because it's so incredible that Werner twice now has been found guilty when they did absolutely nothing wrong. As the court case stands right now, Werner is out $100 million. Their driver, Shiraz Ali, the driver trainee, has been sued for $13 million. And Salinas, the pickup truck driver, the friend of the family, is out $16 million, supposedly, if this appeal doesn't turn around their final appeal. So it's incredible to me that this case has gone to trial one more time, because what's essentially happened is that they have found innocent parties, Werner Enterprises and Shiraz Ali, their driver. They have found them guilty and charged them millions of dollars in fines. Now, when you hear verdicts like these, like $100 million, that is what is referred to as a nuclear verdict. And the point of nuclear verdicts basically is to get as much money out of the trucking company and their insurance company as possible. And it makes the person suing a multimillionaire, and it makes their law firm multimillionaires as well. But what is incredible about this case is that the parties that are being sued and have lost the lawsuit up until this point are innocent parties. And the court doesn't care that they're not at fault. They're charging them and convicting them anyway. They're fining Werner $100 million because they think Werner and their insurance company can afford to pay for it. And they're fining the driver, the trainee, Shiraz Ali, just because they can, because Ali was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it's as simple as that. Not guilty in the least. Part of what's particularly scary about this verdict is that they found Ali, the driver trainee, guilty for $13 million worth. And the scary part is that this could happen to you, this could happen to me, this could happen to any driver. Now, I did a video a number of months ago, or maybe even longer than that now, called Are You Prepared to Go to Jail for Your Truck Driving Job? And this is the situation now that Shiraz Ali may find himself in soon. There is no word whether, if they lose their next appeal, their final appeal, whether Werner will actually pay the $13 million that Ali is supposed to pay. There's no word as to whether they're going to do that or not. If they're a good trucking company, they should, but they're not legally bound to pay that amount for Ali. Lanefinder is the ultimate job search platform to help drivers find the best driving jobs out there. The platform has filters to help drivers narrow down their search to find the carriers best suited for them. They can research the carrier's size or the type of equipment they run or where they run, and all without having to talk to a recruiter. I highly recommend Lanefinder to help drivers find the best driving jobs out there. Check them out at lanefinder.com. There were 2 bad decisions made by Jennifer Blake that day that triggered this whole thing. A, she decided to accept a ride from Salinas, who didn't even have a driver's license. And B, she decided to risk her life and those 3 kids of hers on Salinas' driving ability in bad weather conditions. If she hadn't done those things, none of this would have happened in the first place. Blake's legal team brought up in trial the fact that Werner was out in winter conditions, and they felt that that was a mistake that Werner had made. But it was never mentioned in court that Jennifer Blake and Salinas had made the decision to run their pickup truck out in bad weather conditions. That was never brought up. It was all pointed at the Werner truck, and they felt the Werner truck shouldn't have been out there. Now, I am not a fan of mega carriers like Werner, and I don't agree with some of their practices. I don't agree with running just-in-time freight, and I don't agree with having a rookie driver driving the truck while the driver trainer is in the bunk. I think those are unsafe moves. But in this particular case, none of that comes into play. Shiraz Ali did everything right, and yet was still found guilty. Now, don't get me wrong. I completely sympathize with this Blake family that lost 1 child and has another crippled for life. I feel for them. I can't imagine what that kind of pain would be like. My problem is with the fact that they sued innocent parties and won. I think if anyone should have been sued, it should have been the state of Texas for not closing the road. And it's as simple as that, but I can understand the law firm being too afraid to take the state of Texas to court. It was far easier to take Werner and their driver to court. And they won, and that's really what it's all about for them. So after looking at a verdict like this, who in their right mind would want to engage in interstate commerce with a trucking company? And who in their right mind would want to be a truck driver? It seems the courts love to blame trucking companies and suck the money out of them, and in some cases that's just not right. But right now, that's the way courts look at it. Carriers have deep pockets and lots of money, so they're the easiest targets. Imagine now if instead of a mega carrier that had been involved in that accident, if that had been a single owner operator, an independent with his own authority and insurance, would he have been sued for that kind of money, $113 million? Potentially he could have been, but you know, the little girl's injuries would still amount to the same amount of money, but who knows whether a single guy could have been sued for that kind of dough. It's a crazy situation. What kind of justice is this? What kind of justice can find the innocent guilty like this? The trucking industry now has become a mess, and partially because of these nuclear verdicts. And no wonder drivers aren't interested in working for a system like this, because they could end up like Shiraz Ali, go to work one day innocently, being trained by a company or being completely innocent on the interstate. At the end of the day, they're in jail or they're looking at a $13 million fine, or both. Finally, I'm always telling drivers to sign on with good carriers. Is Werner a good carrier? We're going to find out after this next coming appeal. If they lose this appeal, if they pay the $13 million for Ali, then yes, they're a good carrier. But there's a good chance they won't, because $13 million is an awful lot of money. So let me know, am I way out in left field on this? Is there some liability that Werner should have to pay when they're innocent in a situation like this? And is it right that their driver trainee should be fined to the tune of $13 million? I'd really like to know what you think here. Take care, keep the rubber side down. Remember, trucking is a dirty, dirty business. You've got to be aware and keep yourself safe at all times. I'll see you on the backhaul.